Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. Apologies for the hiatus. I feel like between wedding planning and prepping for the launch of Rain, which is coming in the spring, there's definitely been a lot on my plate, hence why I had to take a little bit of a break from filming long-form YouTube videos, but I'm hoping to become a little bit more consistent in the new year. With that said, I wanted to finally do a part 2 of lessons that I've learned in my teens and early 20s. And again, just like last time, by the time this video is released, I'll just have turned 24, so I understand that I'm still super young and there's still so much that I'm going to learn. I know I'm going to look back at this video and perspectives are going to change and evolve and grow, and that's totally normal and expected. But not only do I want to share my thoughts with you right now, it also acts as somewhat of a digital diary for me to look back on and reflect and see how things have changed. And also to remind myself of these lessons, because we all need reminders here and there. With that said, let's just jump right in. So lesson number 1 is, it is ideal to be the least successful person in the room. And when I say success, I mean in whatever aspect or goal that you're trying to reach. Super random example, but let's say that you're an aspiring ballet dancer. It's actually the most ideal for your personal growth to surround yourself with dancers who are better than you, who have more experience than you, who can teach you things. I don't know why I thought of ballet. I do not dance, so that's a super random example. But another example, let's say that you are starting a business. It is the best for you to surround yourself with other entrepreneurs who have already grown a business, have years under their belt. That way they can be a mentor to you. I know this sounds super obvious, but I'm telling you, it is human nature to try to surround yourself with people who keep you in your comfort zone. People who you consider to be less experienced and less successful than you, so that you can protect your own ego. I remember one time in college, I was in this advanced math class. I don't know why I decided to take that class, but I did. And everybody in that room seemed like a freaking genius. And I was just sitting there like, I don't know what's going on. And I just felt so uncomfortable. My initial reaction was like, okay, I should drop this class because I'm embarrassing myself. I have no clue what's going on. I look so stupid. But instead, what I did was I stuck it out and I really invested that time into hearing what the other students had to say, really trying to learn from them. I put aside my own ego, my own embarrassment in order to become a better and more knowledgeable version of myself. But at the end of the day, if you surround yourself with people who are more experienced, successful, knowledgeable in whatever field or goal that you're striving for, it'll actually push you to get out of your comfort zone, toss aside your ego, and truly learn. Number 2, relationships are what you make of them, to an extent, and that compromise is key. And this can be applied for both, family relationships, friend relationships, and, romantic relationships. Obviously, if you are in a toxic, bad relationship, please remove yourself from that situation. However, I will say that in this day and age, I find a lot of people refusing to look inwards at themselves and only picking apart the other person in the relationship. And what I mean by this is I feel like, my generation, we like to throw out the term, that's a red flag, a lot. I feel like, even when talking to some friends, if they're just, talking to a guy that they just met, it'll be the first date and they'll be like, that's a red flag, and that's a red flag, and that's a red flag. And just sometimes, yes, they are red flags. And it's great to be able to acknowledge that and recognize that and, change accordingly, whether it's to not see them again, etc. But I do feel like the term red flag is a little bit loosely thrown out here and there. Sometimes it'll be like the most minute things. I just feel like a lot of people believe that they deserve a perfect person, when in reality there is no one perfect person. We all have to make compromises when we're trying to find, a forever partner. So if you're just waiting for the perfect person to arrive at your doorstep, you're gonna be waiting forever. And there also comes typically a lack of humility as well. Who are you to say that this other person, because of these small nitpicky things, you have to cross them off your list immediately? That's kind of assuming that you're also perfect, that you don't have these small little things that you need to work on yourself. You need to be willing to work on yourself for the sake of a relationship. And you also need to be able to accept that the other person that you're with, again, whether it's a friend, a family, or a lover, they're not going to be perfect, and you have to both make compromises in order to find a beautiful balance. One of the biggest aspects in my mental health journey has been listening to audiobooks and podcasts that resonate with me and my wellness goals, which is why I'm so excited to announce that this video is sponsored by Audible. One of my favorite titles that my therapist recommended to me was Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover Tawwab. Between friends, family, and even past relationships, I've always had a hard time with setting boundaries and prioritizing myself. I was so happy when I found out that this title was available as an audiobook on Audible. If you don't know already, Audible offers a huge selection of audiobooks, podcasts, and originals across every genre. Whether you're into fashion, business, or on a mental health journey like me, Audible has a title for you. New members can get a free trial of Audible when they use my link, audible.com/vivaciousHoney. Wherever you are on your wellness journey, Audible is there for you. Number 3, in fundamental ways, opposites do not attract. I've heard the term opposites attract thrown around all the time, whether it just be pop culture or rom-coms, and it was kind of ingrained in me that that was a fact. When in reality, studies have shown that opposites actually don't attract. And I'm not saying, if your partner likes spicy food and you do, you're not gonna mesh well. I'm talking about fundamental values. For example, in my last relationship, he was a great guy, but we were on very different pages when it came to what a relationship means to us. For me, I needed somebody who could be an emotional support. I needed to be in a relationship with somebody whom I considered to be a best friend who I could bare my soul to and have them reciprocate. That was really essential for me. For them, that just wasn't a necessity. They were a bit more closed off. They couldn't really express their feelings, and they also couldn't really handle when I expressed my emotions to them. So that was a huge fundamental difference. And it's not about who's right and who's wrong. It was just that our needs and our goals weren't aligned. And that was a huge factor in why we just didn't work out. And I think I stayed in that relationship for a while, A, because I was young, and B, because I thought to myself, oh, he'll change. He'll become emotionally available. He'll be able to, reciprocate talking about our emotions. And that kind of leads me into my next point, which is you can't help people who don't want to be helped, and you can't change people who don't want to be changed. I see this so many times in relationships where two people are just fundamentally different, or something is just not clicking, and they're both just thinking to each other, I'll wait for the other person to come around. I'll wait for that person to change. Change needs to come from within. So if you're applying external pressure to somebody else, even if they quote unquote change, it's not going to last, and it's not coming from the right reasons. And here's where it gets tricky, because even if you have the best intentions, even if you're trying to change the person because you truly believe deep down that it'll help them, that it'll, make them happier in life, that it'll propel them to, seek joy, I don't know. Even if it comes from a really good place, if that person isn't willing and open to, hearing your input and receiving help, then all it's gonna do is push them away and make them dig their heels in further. And again, it's like that lack of humility as well, right? Who are you to say, this is the best prescription for you? This is what you have to do in order to, X, Y, Z. If they're not willing to hear it with open ears, then just drop it. And I know it gets tricky because, as a friend, as a partner, whatever, you're trying to do what's best for them. But at the end of the day, what's truly best for them is to discover and learn for themselves, as opposed to you, another person, telling them what to do and what they need to change and, how to shift their life and mentality. It's just gonna drive a wedge between you and the other person. Finally, the last lesson, on this list at least, I'm sure I've learned so much more, but the last lesson on this list is there are no shortcuts in life. I want to talk about it specifically when it comes to long-term fulfillment versus short-term happiness. For example, one way that I can kind of connect with is social media. I see a lot of creators hop on the trend train. And what I mean by that is instead of creating content that pushes them, that fuels them, that fulfills them, instead they, kind of just try to regurgitate and recycle different trends in order to get a lot of views, a lot of followers, etc. And the thing about social media is that it's so addictive, right? It's a dopamine rush when you see your numbers rising, when you see so many people commenting, this and that. So I think a lot of creators, they try to just hop on trends and that's it. They don't put their own spin on anything. They just try to go for the numbers game because it feels good in the moment. It feels great. You're on a high. You see, people liking your content. But what is it really doing for you. Yes, in the moment it's great, it's fun, you're, riding the high, but if you're not creating content that you truly love, that you're truly proud of, regardless of how well it succeeds in terms of, metrics, then how are you helping yourself and pushing yourself as a creator? Also, trends come and go, and if you're just doing trends, you're not truly connecting with your audience. You're not actually helping yourself as a creator in the long term. You're just finding short-term happiness and short-term success. And again, this is just an example. This applies to so many things. This applies a lot to, like fad diets, right? I feel like the diet culture can be really toxic, or even like diet pills or like shakes and things like that, where they say like, oh, if you take this pill, you can lose X amount of pounds, you can find your dream body, etc., etc. Believe me though, there are no shortcuts in life, even when it comes to reaching your fitness goals. Even if you did take a magic pill that made you lose a ton of weight in a short period of time or whatever, what is that doing for you? It might feel great in the moment, you might be like, wow, like I look amazing, etc. But it didn't teach you discipline. It didn't teach you how to actually live a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. And honestly, I feel like all of these fad diets, fad pills, drugs, whatever, they never last because they don't reinforce the actual skills needed to, achieve your fitness goals. Basically, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And that wraps up my video. Again, like I said, I'm still so incredibly young. I have so much to learn. I can look back at this video, in 5 years or even 5 months and be like, wow, what was I talking about? My perspective has shifted so much. But this is, what I've kind of learned as of right now, and I just wanted to share. All of these lessons are not a one-size-fits-all. This is just what's true to me, and I just love talking about mental health and wellness and personal growth. So again, if you take something away from this, amazing. And if you don't, that's totally fine. I know I took something away from this just talking to myself in front of the camera. So let me know down in the comments what resonated with you, what you agreed on, what you didn't agree on, your personal take on all of this. And also let me know if you want to see more videos like this. Okay, until next time, I love you guys. Bye.